Hello there and welcome. Welcome to you, fellow cosmic travelers and seekers of the higher path. It's Psychic Cynthia here, spiritual psychic Cynthia Killian. And a lot of people are talking about Pluto entering Aquarius as of the date I'm making this video in late March 2023. Pluto just hightailed it into 0 degrees Aquarius earlier this month on March 23rd. And, you know, I hear a lot of reports about it. And as an astrologer, I just have to chuckle. I'm both a psychic and an astrologer, a psychic cosmic seer, you might say. And it seems like there are very extreme reactions to Pluto entering Aquarius. And there's two camps, you know, one camp of people who are like, this will be the next greatest thing and this will awaken all of humanity and it's so great. And then the other camp, they're like, oh no, it's the end of humanity, watch out. And that makes sense to me, actually, that it's really polarized and extreme, because from what I understand about the nature of Pluto, it does have a very intense nature at times. You know, it can be polarizing. So it's funny to hear and see all these things being written and discussed about Pluto in such a way that illustrates the basic, you know, energies of Pluto, at least part of it. But you know, my take on it is that it's a little bit more complex than that, and maybe, you know, it's in the gray zone. I think Pluto does walk the gray zone. So just right off the top, you know, you don't have to be afraid, okay? It's not going to be the end of the world that Pluto entered Aquarius, and I think in a lot of ways that energy might be easier for some of us to bear than Pluto and Capricorn, which we just had for the last 20 years or so, a little bit more than that actually. Yeah, Pluto was in Capricorn starting in 2008. Now it's not all the way done with it, because it's going to go back and forth. So maybe right off the top too, I might give you some dates. And listen, I had to write these down because it's such a long time span. So yes, it entered Pluto, this lovely planet of regeneration and cleansing and healing and transformation, entered Aquarius on March 23rd of this year, 2023. But it's just going to be hovering around that 0 degree point, because it's going to have a retrograde in a few months. So it will stay in Aquarius until June 11th. That's not that long, okay? So March 23rd to June 11th, 2023. We've got right around that 0 degrees Aquarius mark. And then, because of the retrograde, it's going to go back into Capricorn. And that would be on June 11th. And then it'll stay in Capricorn until about January 20th of 2024, so that's next year. And it will stay, you know, then it will go into Aquarius for most of 2024, but then it has another little foray back into Capricorn, and that would be from about September 1st or 2nd to November 19th. So there's going to be some, first of all, I think that's important to acknowledge, is that we're still cleaning up some of the karma from the Pluto and Capricorn era. We're going to be doing that for a little while longer yet. So we have some time. You have some time to settle into this new energy. And just so you know, Pluto finally settles into Aquarius for 19 years on November 19th, 2024. And then it'll stay there until March 8th of 2043. So, I mean, some of us, that could be the rest of our lives, you know. That's a long transit. So we're talking about a long transit here, and we're only just in the beginning, which is, you know, another good reason not to freak out and get all melodramatic about it. Okay. But let's talk some more about this. Okay. Just what we might be needing to know as we're beginning in this new chapter. And it is a new chapter of the world life, and also for your own personal life. And what is Pluto, this principle? I mean, first of all, it's a planet they demoted to be like a semi-planet. They, you know, whoever they are, the council, which I find is very interesting, because Pluto is connected with power, and that can be worldly power, but it can also be empowerment of the self. So it's interesting that some powers that be have chosen to demote it. It's almost like, you know, they're on a symbolic level, you know, trying to keep us from connecting with our own inner power. So But they can't. They can't keep you from, nobody can keep you from connecting with your own inner power, because that's yours. It's within you. So that's something important to think of as Pluto's making a move. So whenever Pluto makes a move in any way, it brings up the issues of power and empowerment. And you can look at that in a worldly sense. And by the way, historically, this translation in this transition from Pluto and Capricorn to Pluto and Aquarius, because this has happened before, okay? This does often coincide with the decay and fall of old structures. Not just leaders falling, yes, but actually old structures falling and the rise of the new. So on the world level, I mean, just look around at some little things that are happening now. What you're seeing are the seeds of the new order that is arising, the new structures. And we should say orders and structures, because it may not be just one thing in one area. But the seeds are being planted. And okay, this is the thing a lot of people miss, that Pluto is connected to the seeds. It is the seeding planet. And what I mean by that, let's talk about the mythology around Pluto. Pluto, as you may know, was an underworld deity, is an underworld deity. He is the lord of the underworld. He's very wealthy. And Pluto has a feminine counterpart. We forget this. Pluto is really the only planet that in our astrology that is so deeply connected to its feminine counterpart, and that is Persephone. Have you heard of Demeter's daughter, Persephone? And the modern myths go that supposedly Pluto, carried her off to the underworld and she was abducted or raped. Actually, if you study that myth, and I have studied it in the history of that myth, it changes over time. And at first she's not abducted, she just goes willingly. Okay, so yeah, but the thing is that Greek culture became more and more patriarchal as time went on. Okay, so then the stories changed, because of course in a patriarchy, a woman wouldn't just run off with her lover, right? She doesn't have that right. so then she's abducted, right, or raped. No, that's not really. And besides, these stories, they're metaphors. That's the other thing to understand too. So because back then, I mean, people, this is how they told stories. This is how they passed on important truths, was in these myths. And they tried to make them as interesting as possible. That's why a lot of them are like soap operas, okay? But Persephone is the daughter of Demeter, and Demeter is the personification of the grain. And Persephone, she is the maiden, the flower, and the fruit and the seed. So when Demeter gets all sad, I get it, because that's her mother, but when Persephone, let's just talk about on a naturalistic level, what is this myth trying to tell us? When Persephone, the fruit and the seed, when the seed falls back to the earth, she returns to the underworld. That is Pluto's realm. His realm is that of the earth, within the earth. And the seed must fall back to the earth. The fruit, must happen, and the fruit must bear seed, and the seed must deposit itself in the earth. It must rest, it must burrow for a time. The seed of creation must go into darkness. That is part of the growth process. So that's actually what's being triggered right now. Anytime Pluto moves, this process of deep growth, the seed is returning to the earth. The seeds are being planted. They're not sprouted yet, so to speak. And you may feel definitely a very deep churning, a moodiness, a brooding associated with this, because if you look at Pluto himself in the myths, he is very moody and brooding. And yes, because it represents those deep emotions within ourselves and that connection to the deepest part of the self. Some people say the subconscious, and I do think it is part of that. But also deeper truths, deeper self. So this is being stirred up for all of us right now with these movements of Pluto. and especially with it changing signs because it doesn't happen that often. And you can think of it as Persephone changing garb. You can think of it as your seed and the seeds that you are planting and what areas will be changing. Uh, Another thing to think about is, Pluto is the lord of the underworld and he is the god of wealth. And because, between the two of them, really, Pluto and Persephone, they hold the material wealth. She holds the wealth of fertility and agriculture, which of course is the basis still for all of society. I mean, even though we think of ourselves, say in America, as primarily a tech-based society, if you don't have food, you don't have anything, right? You can't continue on in your civilization. So she holds the bounty and the fertility, both of people and the land, and animals as well. And also, because we're dealing with an Aquarius, it is the fertility of the mind, the fertility of ideas. Aquarius is an air sign. It is the highest vibration of the air signs. It is very mental level. It rules electricity and radio waves and just energy that we can't quite see or touch. We can sense it, we can feel it in some ways. It may even cause the hairs on the back of your arms or your necks to rise up, but it's less tangible than the earth, okay? And yet it is being impacted by Persephone, one of the goddesses of the earth, the seed, the maiden. And Pluto, he's always depicted in the stories with all his gold and his wealth and his jewels, because those are the minerals of the earth. So I feel that when Pluto moves, it activates the telluric kingdom, which would be the crystals and the minerals, the actual psychic energy. So this is a really good time for, tuning back into the crystal world, the crystal people, as I like to call them. Crystals and stones and rocks, and you can find great comfort in that during times of Pluto transit. So these are some things to think about, and the seeds that will be planted right now on a collective level, well, they're obviously going to have an Aquarian flavor, although we're still dealing with, what's happening with the Capricorn too, because that's kind of washing out. A lot of the Capricorn energies had to do with business, governments, commerce, and currency, money. And a lot of shifts in traditional values. And I won't go on and on about that, because I think that you can think about what I just said there, and you can extrapolate and extract, if you've lived the last, years since 2008, you can figure out, you can extract what has happened in those realms. It's not hard to see there's been a lot of changes, and we are still undergoing an economic collapse, it appears. So I don't know about you, but how strong are your personal finances compared to 5 years ago? I mean, you may have more money, but it's probably worth less. Okay, inflation is a concern right now. So and it's not just America, by the way, it's everywhere. And so that is sort of part of the purging that the Pluto in Capricorn has been doing, and now with it moving into Aquarius, but still going back and forth for about a year yet. We're going to have the beginnings of the cleansings on the mental level, and Aquarius has a lot to do with energy. I don't hear too many people, too many of the astrological folk talking about this aspect of Pluto and Aquarius yet, but we're going to see, I believe, a lot of changes in the energy. I'm talking about how we power our houses and our homes and our cell phones and our cars. And I don't mean just the existing things that that the new, quote unquote, new things that we have, wind and solar, which are good. I mean, I definitely are good. But I could see breakthroughs in cold fusion or something even weirder than that with Pluto and Aquarius, something that doesn't even exist now, or I don't know. There's probably a lot that exists now that we don't know about. Okay, so yeah, I think some of that's going to be changing. I feel that on a deep level. And it will be interesting to see. But for your personal level right now, I want you to think about planting seeds, planting new seeds, and planting those in the realms of ideas, technology. It's very interesting that The public launching of ChatGPT was pretty close to the time of Pluto entering Aquarius. Not exact, but pretty close. And if you don't think these people have astrologers on their payroll, I mean, it can't be an accident, okay? It can't be an exact accident. They're timing these things, okay? People wake up, right? That's not bad. I mean, I think if I was running some of these larger companies or governments, I would have astrologers on my payroll too. And governments and companies always have, actually. It goes back to ancient days. So yeah, they're tapping into, or they're correlating, they're combining, their human creative efforts with the timing of the astrology. Like, what a perfect time to bring out new AI tools, whether you're for them or against them. Which, by the way, it probably does no good to be for or against. It's like the will. Are you for or against the will? It's rolling, right? and that's how AI is. It's rolling. Okay. So yeah, lots of things will be happening on that front. It's already started. The world is going to look a lot different, and I mean a lot different, even 5 or 10 years into this Pluto in Aquarius. The generations that are being born right now, I mean, they are going to be coming of age in a world that is so different than the one that you and I are in right now. So it's kind of exciting to think about, because I do believe that with the Aquarius energy, there can be more of a community-based energy, more of a caring. The danger, of course, whenever there is a stronger emphasis on community, I don't want to say it's a danger, but it's a tension that must be balanced. And you see that in Aquarius, because Aquarius is the sign of, one of the signs at least, of authentic self-expression, but it's doing that within the group or the tribe, and sometimes the desires of the tribe conflict with, your personal expression. And some of that may be coming up right now. You may be feeling, the urge to try something different on your path of purpose, to break out, to express yourself creatively. I think especially with Pluto moving, from Aquarius to Capricorn, and I have both of these signs strong in my chart, so I can really, understand them on a deep heart level, both of them, actually. And they are connected, by the way, because they're both ruled or co-ruled by Saturn. They're almost opposites, though, because Capricorn is about, the outer world manifestation, but Aquarius is about the experience, and more about the realm of ideas. And so I think we're going to find that more of us in this time, even in our careers and our life purpose, we're going to maybe want to chase an idea or experiment with empowering ourselves that way, rather than focusing so much on material world accumulation. Those things could become a lot less important to us, even those of us who it's already not very important to. Yeah, we'll see on that, and maybe there'll be future videos about that. But I think for now, it's a time of planting seeds for your purpose, and looking at how you want to raise your vibrations in your mind, higher thinking, higher tech. Yes, tech is going to be part of Aquarius. It always is. Interestingly enough, though, Aquarius isn't just forward thinking. It reaches back in time to the ancients. So we may see a revival of some ancient practices, very ancient, including the ancient spiritual ones. That will be exciting, I think. Could be exciting. Alrighty, well, just sharing some thoughts with you on Pluto in Aquarius, and enjoy the ride, because what else can you do while you're on this planet? And yes, it is a time of planting seeds. It's also a time of cleansing. Pluto is incredibly cleansing. So if something is trying to leave your life during this time, or you just keep getting signs that it's not for you, well, I don't know that I would keep fighting it. I think at some point you have to just read the signs. So, and let the transformation happen, because there is a lot of transformation with Pluto changing signs right now. Alrighty, until next time, I'm Psychic Cynthia, and just know that you have the strength deep within you to not only make it through this transformation, but to come out more graceful, more beautiful, priorities. Bright blessings.